More and more brands are now launching lightweight e-mountain bikes. We're here at the demo weekend to take a look at some special lightweight e-mountain bikes from some of the best brands available here at Wheelbase. We're here with Nick Craig from Scott, mountain bike legend. Actually looked him up last night online and checked. He is still officially the nicest man in cycling. So Nick, tell me a little bit about the bike.
So it's, although it's the name Lumen, it's based on the Spark platform. We wanted to, because we make things lightweight, we were really excited to use a TQ motor because it's only 1.8 kilos. For the motor, it's tiny. I think you'll agree you can hardly see it.
You can barely see it. Actually, the TQ motor is roughly the size of a can of Coke, so get your head around that. And with the Lumen, they've actually fitted in the shock as well internally, so there's no visible shock on the rear.
That's right. So the Spark platform that you probably already know is 120mm rear travel. On the RC versions, the race bikes, we have 120mm fork. On the trail versions, the DC, we go 130. When the engineers did this, they actually did a really clever little tweak, and they angled the shock back slightly and played around with the pivots and the kinematic, and then basically made a 130 rear. So we've actually got 130 rear, 130 front.
Amazing.
It is allowed to put 140 fork in there.
So you were telling me a little bit off camera about the way you can actually tune the motor to suit you through the app. Sounds very simple. Just take us through that.
Yeah, so really easy. I'll literally throw the phone open. The app's just going to connect. It's connected that quickly. So that's what it looks like in the TQ app. That's in eco mode. It's going to give me 120 watts. Mid mode, it's going to give me 180 watts as a max, and then 300 watts.
Brilliant. So you could actually do this on the fly, mid-ride, depending on what you're riding. Say you start off smooth, undulating kind of terrain, and then you go up into the higher sort of hills and it gets rocky and steep and unpredictable. You can actually enhance the power to suit the terrain mid-ride. Yeah,
so I did a ride last week. I wanted to test this bike fully. I went into the Peak District and did my normal loop. That's 28.5 miles, 5,500 feet. I rode it in eco. Eco, you could say, sounds quite tame, but the 120 watts felt really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And if anything, my next ride is the same loop, and I'm actually going to knock the eco down to 100 watts.
Yeah.
And see how much further I go. So that's going to be interesting. And that's using the 360 watt hour battery that's built into the down tube.
Right, okay.
Bear in mind that we can add a range extender. We have a bottle cage adapter that you know, today I'm just going to ride with the 360 watt hour battery.
Internal battery, yeah.
Tomorrow or later on I want to ride a bigger ride.
Yeah.
Quick release, slide the bottle cage off, and then slide in the range extender, which looks like a bottle, goes in the bottle cage, plugs in there.
Through there, yeah.
It'll come up on there, and it just adds the percentage. The interesting part here at the bottom is pedal response. The factory settings and the way we think this bike should live most of the time is to have it on as least as possible. So it's like the tortoise, not the hare. Yeah. It's interesting when somebody's used to a full fat e-bike and they want that sort of grunt.
That kick,
You can actually push these across and just make them just add some pedal response. So that's the speed it'll kick immediately.
So not only are you changing the amount of assist, you're changing the way the motor picks up and behaves.
Yeah.
You were saying it has a built-in power meter as well.
Yeah, so when you're riding on the screen here, the watts it'll display here are the watts that you're giving, so it's reading your watts, and at the same time the watts above it are the watts that the bike's giving you, the TQ motor. And what's really interesting, it's the word natural, if you pedal a little bit more, it's got torque and power and speed sensors. As you pedal a little bit more, it'll give you a bit more. And it's so nice. And that's why I'm going to tune mine down a little bit, because it's actually giving me too much.
So essentially, in summary, it's a natural feeling motor that works in sync with you rather than giving you unpredictability and sort of unpredictable kicks. It's basically amplifying you as you pedal at your own rate and with your own power input. And they've put that on one of the industry's lightest bikes anyway.
Yeah.
So
the reason why the weight matters is when I ride full fat e-bikes, they feel planted to the ground. I'm not from a DH background.
yeah,
And I always feel like I'm working my upper body too much, and I just want I want the bike to feel like a Spark and trail bike feels. And this is the solution to that. As I get old, I'm 54 next week, I just feel like they add me a few watts, and
that's what you need.
I want to find Nino. I want to go out with Nino on this.
Yes, absolutely.
What,
Great leveler. Final question then. So you talked about how you would use the bike. How do you see it within the range of Scott e-bikes at the moment? Who's the ideal customer that would be looking for a Lumen rather than, say, a full fat e-bike?
Yeah, so we're working with you guys at the demo, and it's really quite clear that we've got lots of bookings on the Lumen. And if somebody thinks it's going to work like a Patron or a full fat e-bike, then it's a different feeling. It's a different bike, and I think it is a different customer. I think, in my view, I would say this is maybe somebody that's ridden bikes over previous years, maybe stopped riding and wants to get back into it, wants to feel the new technologies, but then to actually have some assistance as well that nobody knows about. Ultimately, I don't know if you've talked about, we haven't mentioned how quiet this is.
Right.
One of the key things.
The motor is very quiet.
It's virtually silent.
Right. And something else that you said as well, that when you've run through how tunable it is, say someone is returning to mountain biking after a break of a few years, it's actually a bike that can grow with them and develop as their fitness increases.
Yeah. And what's really nice is when you hit the UK limit of 15 miles an hour, the motor disengagement, and there is no drag, there is no friction. It feels like a normal bike.
That's great, Nick. Thanks a lot. You've run through the Lumen. So it sounds like a fantastic bike. Definitely part of a kind of growing move towards these lightweight e-MTBs, and there's certainly a really good market for it. Plenty of riders will actually probably enjoy these over and above what we're now already calling a traditional e-bike. Thanks very much for your time, Nick.
Thank you. I'm going riding on this.
Yes. So I'm here with Lee from Orbea. He's going to talk us through the Orbea Rise, which is actually a unique approach to the new genre of lightweight e-mountain bikes. So Lee, take us through the Rise, please.
Yeah, so the Rise has actually been a super popular bike for us. I mean, over the last couple of years, I think there's been a lot of people in the market that have realized that this is the type of bike they need when they didn't know they needed it, you know? We've managed to get bums in saddles with the bikes, and actually that has resonated with a lot of the consumers, which then has filtered down to their mates. So this has actually been a super popular bike for us, and it's still continuing to do so. You know, we're on a demo weekend this weekend, and it's still the most asked for bike, you know. So yeah, this is our sort of lightweight platform. This is the Rise. We have two different options with this. You can either have an aluminium version or you can have a carbon version. But ultimately, the Rise is just a out-and-out trail bike with assistance, but assistance that's designed to make you feel like you're not on an e-bike.
So more of a natural kind of riding experience.
Yeah, natural riding experience. I mean, the key sort of philosophy behind this bike is that we really wanted you to forget you was on an e-bike. You know, within 2 minutes of going down the trails, you have to forget you was on an e-bike. So one of the things you'll probably first notice with a bike is how clean and how stripped back everything is. There's no bulky displays. We have a little junction box where you can see the battery status and your assistance level, but it's really, really stripped back. And what the displays do is they distract you. Optional, you know, you can have those as options. You want a Shimano display, or if you want to connect to your Garmin, you can do so. So the interface is there. But ultimately, this is an out-and-out sort of trail geometry bike. Mimicking the sort of geometry you get with what our Occam is, which is our out-and-out trail bike. So mimicking that just with an assistance.
Similar amounts of travel, or?
Similar amounts of travel, so exactly the same, 140, 140. If you go for the 36s on the front, then you can have the 150 as an option if you're a little bit more of an aggressive rider. But yeah, 140, 140, 29, 29, and yeah, it's just perfect. It's a ripper of a bike, you know.
So Lee, there's something a little bit special about the Shimano motor on the Orbea Rise.
Correct, yes. So ultimately what you're getting from hardware standpoint is you're getting a Shimano EP8 But what we've done is we worked with Shimano over the last sort of 2 years, or 2 years before launching this product, and we've developed our own firmware with these guys. And the idea is what the RS stands for is rider synergy.
Okay.
You know, we wanted people, as I spoke before, you know, we want people to forget they're on an e-bike. And the reality is with a lot of e-bikes, when you look at the power delivery, it doesn't mimic what the rider is doing naturally. But then when you're in that sweet spot and you get that natural power delivery of what your legs will naturally transmit, this just amplifies it.
So it's amplification
It's
rather
amplification
than an
of what you're
unnatural
doing.
kick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you were to look at the power curve of
Yeah.
what you would deliver naturally, the RS philosophy, the power delivery in the system will deliver absolutely perfect how you do it. It's an exaggerated version of who you are naturally. You know, it's and that's what the rider philosophy, the rider synergy captures, I think.
Sounds good.
But the one thing with the Rise more than anything is it's lightweight. So for myself, coming from an EXe background, do you know when you're going down a trail and you're just making little mistakes and you need to make those little micro adjustments? And I'd make a lot of mistakes, sadly. But, the bike is so light, it has that agility to do so. So for myself as an EXe rider, I tend to ride it in Profile 1, which is the sort of lower assistance mode. And then I tend to just bounce between eco and trail because I'm still getting that sort of natural exertion that I like from as an XE guy. But as I say, it's just the little nudges of enthusiasm that the motor delivers. And as I'm getting a little bit later in my career and a little bit slower, this bike is starting to make more and more sense for me, right? So the whole 7-year program, until we had the technology in place, was always targeted as, can we make this a bike that you just forget you're on an e-bike? And I know I've said that a few times, but it really is about that, you know. It's about forgetting you're on an e-bike and encapsulating what mountain biking has to offer without it intruding on your...
Well, it's certainly a growing scene, the lightweight e-mountain bike options out there. We've seen quite a few over the weekend, and the Orbea Rise really does stand out as you say, something that's been developed for almost a decade. And kind of going into the next generation as we sort of move along. So it's a fantastic bike. Thank you for talking us through it.
No worries.
Cheers, Lee.
Man.
So I'm joined by Mark Jaggard from Trek, and he's going to talk us through the Trek Fuel EXe lightweight e-mountain bike.
Hello. So I'll start off by saying this is my favorite bike, and people talk about, you know, is it an e-bike or a non-e-bike? And this is the bike that gives you the best of both worlds. So it's a lightweight mid-power motor. It's a really natural feeling bike. It's plenty of support without it feeling like a juggernaut. So it's still light and playful and poppy and all the things you love about your normal ride. And you still get a workout. One of the things that I really love about mountain biking, obviously everyone loves the descents, but I also enjoy the fitness side of it. I still want to be pedaling and breathing hard. And this is the bike that lets you just do more. So you still get a workout, but you have more fun doing it. More trails, new places, all the good stuff.
And you say trails, so this particular lightweight e-mountain bike is built around trail geometry?
It's modern, it's bang up to date, so it's very similar to our Fuel EXe trail bike. It's got a 150 fork and a 140 back end. It's got some adjustability to the geometry, and there are things you can do to kind of, you know, if you want to experiment and play around with it. But out of the box, it's really suited for all sorts of riders, whether you want to just do mellow trails and just kind of build your fitness, or if you want to get more aggressive riding, technical, progressive trails.
It's a playful, agile bike.
It'll do most of it,
So let's get to the meat and bones of the bike. What is the drive system on the Fuel EXe?
So we use a system from a company called TQ. They're our partners for this model, and they're very experienced. They've made motors for the Mars rover. So it's super high end. The nice thing about it is a lot of effort's gone into making it feel really natural, the support, so it's not kind of surging in and surging out. It makes you feel like it's just you, but on a really, really good day.
Sounds good.
And yeah, it's quite unobtrusive, but there's definitely lots of support there. and it's also really, really quiet.
Right, this is what I've been hearing, yeah. It's,
or not hearing,
well,
right?
yeah,
when you
exactly,
ride.
yeah. Good point, yeah.
So I've actually been riding with groups of friends who it's only kind of halfway through the ride, they're kind of looking and saying, is that an e-bike that you're on, right?
Well,
So,
we're definitely getting to that stage with this sort of bike. And the scale of it is roughly similar to a can of Coke. And I did read that means that the Trek designers were able to, they weren't confined by the geometry and so on because of the small, compact nature of it.
That's right. You're not solving problems around an e-bike motor. You're making the bike the way you want to make it. And that's really obvious. As soon as you ride it, you'll realise it's been made to ride for riders.
Excellent. What about battery capacity? What have we got here?
So it's got a mid-sized battery, a 360 watt hour, which isn't as big as the full fat e-bikes. So if you're looking for that uplift experience, honestly, you're better off going for something like a rail, where you get the big motor and the big battery and loads of torque. We do a range extender battery, which is 160 watt hours, which just pops into your bottle cage.
Brilliant.
If you're looking for bigger days out. But really, this is suited for people who want to do their normal rides that they do on their non-e-bike, but they just want more fun and to go a bit further.
Perfect.
So you've got a really small, unobtrusive remote, and you've got 3 levels of assist. And it's just simple as using your thumb to change the modes. You don't have to take your hands off the bars. You can also actually customize it, so if you don't need the walk assist and the bike is so light that you really don't need the walk assist, you can actually make it so you can scroll through the data screens just by using the walk button as well, which really means that everything's at your fingertips. If you want to do more in-depth tuning, then there's a Trek Central app which connects to the bike and will track your ride, will let you customize all the levels of support in the motor. It's got a really cool feature where it'll show you a map of, depending on what mode you're in and how much charge is in the battery, it'll give you two lines. So one is a one-way trip and one is out back, so you can figure out how far you can go. And that constantly updates on your phone all the time. So
sounds fantastic. So really, last question. What we're seeing now is sort of a trend towards lightweight e-MTBs and also what we kind of jokingly refer to as full fat e-MTBs. Those two are looking like they're going to run together rather than it's a one or the other. What type of rider would you say this bike is for?
I think this is, if you're somebody that rides a normal trail bike or even a hardtail and you're kind of e-bike curious, this bike will blow you away. It's so good. It's everything you love about your normal riding plus a bit more.
Fantastic.
I think there's still a place for the bigger bike, the big mountain all-day riders, because I love doing that as well. Rails are great for that. I think this is the bike I reach for most often for day-to-day riding.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you.